Welcome everyone once again to the Beers, Beards, and Bullshit podcast. Led by the three of us, I'm Beards.
I'm Beards.
And I'm Bullshit.
And welcome in. The month of June is Men's Mental Illness Awareness Month, and that is why the three of us are here today with our special guest, Odal.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining.
Today's subject is, of course, going to be Dungeons & Dragons and a little bit of in-betweens. But first, our sponsor, brought to us by our secondary announcer, Clem the Finance Wizard. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me. Tonight's sponsor is, of course, Gold for Days. You have gold, you wish to sell it, then sell it for more gold. Financial ruin is but a simple risk for that. If you want to, also buy into my Clem coin. That will get you straight for your financial success for years to come. Thank you. And that was Clem once again with the Clem coin sponsor.
With a quick disclosure,
do not listen to him.
Clemcoin may fail, and you may lose everything that you have, whether it be your house, your wife, your kids, and anything in between. Buy responsibly, or don't buy at all. But do buy from Clem.
And now, here we go into today's topic of Dungeons & Dragons. Something that a few of us have experience in, me having the most out of the four of us here. And we're going to talk about a couple of ups and downs and things that are, you could consensually call hot takes of the situations that we deal with. The first thing that I'm going to say off the get-go is that I don't agree with how mainstream D&D got. I know that's going to sound really fucking weird, but it's in the sense of how multiple larger groups got really big over the pandemic, and we are now going from live play to play action. What I'm saying about that is that a lot of these bigger groups are writing modules based off of their campaigns that let you verbatim go through them, or they're making their own systems. And it's just doesn't feel right. They praise a lot of these new modules and rule sets, and it's not a good thing. They're adding a lot of things to it, and it's taking away from the individual, which is the whole point of D&D. Like there's a couple of different groups that I've seen: Fool's Gold, Legends of Vantress, Critical Role, a few other ones that have written modules that are based off of their campaigns, and it got popular. So the reason why it got popular was during the pandemic. Was the real big reason a lot of these groups got really big really fast. Was everyone was stuck at home. So what do you do when you're stuck at home? You start watching Twitch, podcasts, YouTube, etc.
New stuff too.
Yeah.
Most people used to be stuck at home. I had to work through the entire pandemic.
Yeah, I had to work through the pandemic too.
Same.
But other people that were stuck at home started looking for things to do, and they saw that they could do D&D with friends online. They didn't have to leave their house, they didn't have to break quarantine, etc. And so they started seeing all the digital assets being put on D&D Beyond, Owlbear, Roll20, etc., etc., etc.
All the new subclasses and just like the subclasses that got so popular, like fuck it, it's now meta.
Yeah, and so a lot of things came up that made it really popular, and there were a lot of people who streamed it. Big D&D behind COVID? Maybe. Wizards of the Coast are a bunch of assholes.
Greedy little fucks.
Beyond that, the real big thing that kind of happened that really spurred it is a lot of these larger groups. A bot!
Kill it!
Kill it with fire! Die!
Yep.
I don't care how small the room is, I cast Fireball!
Yes. And so it's one of those things of where you had a lot of people making new content, and they were playing it, but then there were people who were streaming it who got really big really fast and kind of took over the market. Critical Role, Avantris, and a few others just really kind of stuck in, and it made it popular for all the wrong reasons. It started taking away a lot of the creative things, and a lot of people were doing, like, different versions of Strahd, which, if you haven't read Curse of Strahd, on its face is a well-written campaign, terrible execution. Like, it is a game that you can do for a long point of time. It's meant to be investigative. It's meant to be grim horror, but the way everything is built creature-wise is meant to fucking dunk on you. Which is fine. You can run it more Dark Souls, but, like, as it's written, you will get fucking dunked on. If it's being run by someone who knows it. And so a lot of these groups started putting things out. It just got really popular, and a lot of people started taking what these bigger groups were doing with production materials and writers, and just kind of diluted the scene. So you had a lot of people who were doing small faction stuff out of modules. You had people who were doing small stories, and it just kind of blurred the line between what D&D is meant to be, how you can change it due to homebrew, and how it should be run.
So, question. Do you think that's because of how veteran the players are, or how veteran those groups are, that the normal stuff just wasn't there for them, that they had to, like you said, homebrew it to make it Dark Souls?
I feel like a lot of these bigger groups, they were doing it strictly for entertainment purposes. It's a lot of these larger groups, you can't look at me and tell me that there wasn't a basis script going in for what the characters were planning on doing. Because if you're doing something that has a production value, you have to make sure that it can sit in time allotments, you have to make sure that it can be entertaining, and that you have to make it into the point where the characters are going to do something that is going to catch attention, but that can also be corralled. And when you're writing a campaign, it has to be scripted to a point from the DM side, because you have to have them in some kind of borders to get the story across.
So, as you yourself as a DM, and AJ I know is a DM as well, how do you feel about the entire campaign being scripted?
I tend to do a shit ton of improv with my stuff. I learned over the years that scripting on an entire campaign is how you pigeonhole yourself, but also you don't take into account what your character's going to do.
See,
if you push yourself into a corner, character's going to fuck you up. What about you, AJ?
I'm the same way. I do a lot of improv. So, like, how my current D&D session is being ran is... So, there's nothing wrong with making it so your characters have a strict story to follow, but I don't run mine like that. I give mine an open world and give them plenty of choices, but I also make sure that they stick to the story in the same sense. So, like, I'll give them a layout, basically like a quest board. I'll give them a quest board of shit that needs done to progress the story, but I let them tackle it how they feel how they want to tackle it. So that way they have the option to fuck around a little bit, but also still make the progress that they need, versus, hey, you walked into town, now you're fighting this fucker. Like, one of my events was, we had the Blood Moon Harvest, where they were actually able to enjoy themselves for half the session, where they got to go around and buy things and mingle and meet these people and, like, learn some shit, and then they got attacked, versus, hey, it's the start of the Blood Moon Harvest, you guys are now in combat. Like, actually, yeah. I give my characters, or my players, the options to go and have fun a little bit before one of them is ruthlessly beaten to death.
So, Dom, do you play D&D?
Of course I do. I've played since high school. I've DM'd a few times when I was younger, but I wasn't that good. And I'm actually in the process. No, I'm actually in the process of making a campaign for my friends.
Oh. Okay, but so far you've been mostly a player. How do you feel about your campaigns being pushed along by your DM, like it being forced upon you, rather than
my previous DM, he's my friend. I didn't like some of the ways he put the campaign. I didn't like how either there was a shroud of what you had to do, and there wasn't a big objective to do, or he pushed it on you too hard. So with this campaign I'm writing is, I'm going to put it in there, but I'm going to put motives to it, so that way it's not being pushed per se, but you have a clear line of what you have to do to progress.
Interesting.
Yes,
So
which is the best way, in my opinion, to do it, is that if you can give story points and dots on a map of, hey, here's your objective for your first act, you need to get to this point. And just kind of have everything flesh out to a situation where it's like, hey, you need to hit these 5 different areas to go do this. And then kind of let them just fuck around and find out is a good way to kind of build that story, and it gives you time to build things in on the background that will fit the rest of it. Because I like to do the ripple effect. So if I had Dom and AJ as a pair of adventurers going through, and I say, hey, you gotta go take out this big bandit lord, right? You're level 5s, you're not big shits yet, you're gonna go take out this big guy, he's being a menace. What are you gonna do to get there? What are you gonna do to try and fix it? You have these towns that are being harassed by it, you have your friends that you've met along the way, you have these other NPCs, like, how are you gonna do it? You can either arm yourself to the teeth, throw yourself to the wolves, try to come out on top, gain allies, maybe get the cities to turn on them, and it's,
Right.
I'm not gonna tell you flat out what you can do, but I will let you try. And that's the biggest thing.
That is the biggest thing, because there's always the aspect of let the creativity flow. Do not constrict them to some normal stuff.
So, a couple quick questions.
Like, another thing, if, say, your players are taking too long doing something, do a little rolling, do a little thinking, and something bad just happened because they took a bit too long now.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do it too fast, something else happens, like some other mystical powers of beings. Because it would just be making sense within the storyline.
So, real quick, completely unrelated, how do you spell foreigner?
Foreigner.
F-O-R...
We got an illiterate amongst us.
F-O-R...
Foreigner.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I should say literate, huh?
Yeah.
I'm very illiterate.
So here's the thing that I also do. Grim, I don't know how you run it. Do you do milestones or do you do XP base?
I do milestones, because with XP, if you don't know what you're doing with your CR levels or your XP gain, you can have very powerful characters very quickly.
Or just outright kill your party.
Or outright kill your party, yeah. So the way that I've always done milestone is it's based off prestige, essentially, because that's the idea, is that you are doing something to earn it, where it's, for one of my campaigns, it was how well they were known through the country as heroes. As they did more things to grow, it kind of did that whole situation. And the difference between them is that with XP, or experience counters, anyone who's played a MOBA, MMO, Warframe, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, insert here.
It gets taxing.
It gets taxing, but also to the fact it focuses on combat, because every creature you kill, depending on their level, gives a certain amount of experience. Every level has a expanding ceiling to hit that next level.
Yeah.
And so, if you have characters that get lucky and hit some critical strikes on a creature you didn't expect to die in that encounter, a combat session you set up for them, and all of a sudden they get pushed up 3 levels, that now goofs your entire set of encounters afterwards for the rest of what you had planned, because the difference between a level 3 party and a level 6 party is insane. The action economy is basically how many things you can do per turn based on what side you're looking at, your party versus your enemies that you have them facing. If you push that level to 6, that action economy for your player side doubles. So now you're looking at them having multi-attack, multiple spells, multiple stuff, and it's just now everything you're doing just done. It's game over. Whereas with Milestone, they may not defeat the big bad, or the big creature, the goblin boss, whatever. He lives to fight another day. They can still gain a level and be ready for the next fight, but they're not going to be overpowered if they kill him. If they kill him, you can say, oh, you gain a level immediately. You get 2. You can kind of control their ascension based on storyline. And that's really where I like to run it, because it makes it feel more natural, instead of, oh, hey, you have to focus on combat to do stuff. Milestone lets you do it through roleplay and events.
Another thing, I've seen DMs use, like, say you didn't actually fight someone, but you were supposed to, and you talked your way out of it. They sometimes give you XP because, or partial XP at least, because you were supposed to fight them and gain the XP.
Exactly.
However, I do think Milestone is objectively better.
Oh my god, yeah, because I can give you a hard fucking, like, character v character combat that means more to the story than me giving you a fucking red dragon that you kill, that you just fucking found in a cave.
Yeah. It's also the fact of, like Dom said, if you talk your way out of it, you get partial experience. And that's rules is written. That's how it is. Like, if you complete your objective, but you don't eliminate the objective, you get half experience, which I feel is pushing people away from doing the roleplay and for being a part of the story. Whereas in Milestone, if you complete the objective is to neutralize the goblin boss. If you talk him out of being an asshole, you still complete the objective. So you should still get that milestone.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, DMs vary, so you can either get half or you can get full. It doesn't really matter.
You could still get full because it's still completed. There's different ways you can run it, but for most DMs would be like, oh, well, you didn't really take out the person, so, it's gonna be a no from me, dog. And it's like, that seems kind of counterintuitive.
What do you mean? He changed his way. He's now a good guy. He's actually fighting for us. How did we not take him out?
To circle back to a question that was asked, what are the big no's of D&D? Controlling your players, like helicopter parenting. That to me is a big ick, to use my sister's word.
A big ick for me is always trying to... Okay, this...
Rule lawyers are a big ick.
Hot take. Hot take as fuck right now.
Hot take.
We said it in the last episode. Fuck Critical Role.
Yeah. Yes. If you come in as a player and say, I want us to be like Baldur's Gate or Critical Role, I will slap you.
So my thing is, you can learn from any other campaign. You can learn from fucking Critical Role, the gold one that you talked about, Legends of Atlantis. You can learn from Baldur's Gate. But do not come in and think that's how every campaign's going to be ran. And if I ever hear, like, I yell at my one fucking player for this all the fucking time. I'm not even kidding. I get into a fucking argument with them every single time we campaign.
Jesus. Well,
they do it like this in Critical Role. I don't give a fuck how they do it. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if they say, oh, well, how they do it is if you roll a nat 1 or a nat 20 on your death saves, this is what happens. Cool. That's not how we're doing it. I'm doing it so that way you guys actually have a chance of living and fighting and surviving, because 3 of you are fucking brand new to this shit.
And also, it does more for the story, because the way the rules are written, if you come back from a death save, the way it's supposed to be is that you come back with an injury.
Yeah.
And it can come back as permanent. So you can lose an arm, a leg, an eyeball, or whatever. And that adds to that roleplay aspect of like, oh, you've lost this. You can get it fixed if you want, but now it's another story-driven aspect. It's another cool thing.
Well, and a good example of that is one of my players. He was already blind to one eye. Okay.
Right.
Well, he went into a death save. Well, I broke the combat for a little bit of story. Because he blinded, he stabbed one of the BBEGs, or the BBG guy. He stabbed their character in the eye, made them blind. So she returned the favor, stabbed him in the eye. He then fucking went into death save. Guess what? When he came back, we didn't keep him fucking blinded. Should he have been permanently blinded? Absolutely. He would have been the next fucking Daredevil.
Yep.
But that's not how we did it. Even though the rulebook says, hey, that's how that should have happened. Guess what? No.
Yeah, it's the great thing about being a DM is that you can fluff things to keep the story going or to make it more entertaining depending on the situation.
Also, it kind of depends on if you're playing with newer players or like
Yeah.
older players.
When I run campaigns, I make sure I say it off the get-go what kind of campaign it's going to be, and I ask them, do you want to run this on the more... Basically, I ask them what difficulty level they want to play it at, much like as if you played Baldur's Gate, choose what difficulty level you're going to play it at. And I just go, what do you want to do it at? Because we can either keep it at the normal level, which is like I can pull my punches a little bit until you guys get comfy, and then really start amping it up, or you can step into a hardcore campaign where there's permadeath. Like, there are no death saving throws. You go down, you're fucked.
Do you want your handheld or do you want gangbanged? I need to know.
Yeah. So, like, other yes and no's of it has been, like, if you're in a campaign as a player, you can always try to remind the DM of rules, but if you rules lawyer, you will be smoten immediately.
I can
just...
Go ahead, finish.
I've smited someone before because of it.
Yes. I have too. I was gonna say, you can always ask a DM, like, and I say ask. You can ask a DM and be like, hey, I know it says in the rule book this is what's supposed to happen. How are we doing it? That is a perfectly great thing to say, but do not come and be, well, the rules say this. Guess what? You see your rule book? Out the fucking window.
It's like, you can do it to a certain extent, and like the limit of rules to be homebrewed is kind of an if and then statement when it comes to building a certain thing. I've built an entire rule system in 3.5 for players that want to go and be mercenaries in space. That took a couple months of me building it on the back end and basing a lot of shit off of current rule sets and trying to put stuff in and pulling from other DMs who kind of built it. And so, like, you can have an entire system that is quote-unquote homebrewed, but still on the basis of a standard rule set. But there are certain things that I will yes, no, and I will fucking veto immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on people bring stuff to me, I go, hey, if you want to do something for your homebrew, you want to play a homebrew race, a homebrew class, a homebrew weapon, whatever, bring it to me first, and then we will talk. Because the idea here is that I need to be able to see it, understand it, and see if it's going to break something. And so you can have an entire campaign based on homebrew. There can be small shit from the way you do death saving throws, like Elit's rules is written, is that if you go in death saving throws, you're basically stuck. You can't do anything. The way that I had it go for a while was that if you were in death saving throws, you're basically in last stand out of like Call of Duty or some shit.
Yep.
Where you can move, you can scoot yourself, and you can use a bonus action. You get half your movement speed in a bonus action. So if you have a potion on your person or a med kit, and you have the ability to do it, you can roll to see if you can fucking do it from your position and try to stabilize your bleeding. So you don't have to keep going into rolls. Or you can crawl behind cover and have someone pick you up so you're not in the line of fire, so you don't go down the middle of the fucking field and then a mage goes, haha, fireball, and just fucks you up, and now you're buddy. And there's really not a limit. You have to balance this shit, and that takes a veteran DM to balance it.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the main issue between the go no go for the rules is a good healthy communication outside of the game.
Yes. There is
you just have to
a lot of talk.
You have to understand where your players are comfortable, and to know their limits better than they know themselves. So like me with this campaign that I have, I got 4 brand new people, two veterans. I can lean on my veterans to do certain things in the campaign to help guide the fucking new players, and to actually guide them and teach them as well as me. But then I also have to step in and be like, listen, you're using a concentration spell, you want to use a non-concentration spell, can't let you do that. Well, why not? Because then you're breaking concentration, and then you're going to get mad that the fucking the fucking shield spell that you have casted is now going to disappear. So now whenever I smack that fucking the barbarian of the group, instead of him not taking any damage, he's now going to take my full fucking force. And just
Or just making sure they understand the caveats of, like, if you have a concentration spell up, you can do non-concentration spells. You can't do a second concentration.
yeah.
You know, so it's like that whole thing of, if you have one sustaining spell, you can't try and cast another one, which is going to cancel the first. And, like, having them kind of do that. And so there's a lot of talk out of the sessions to make things are clear.
Yeah.
And that
So
comes
I feel
down
like
to
that
knowing
could
it.
go both ways though, because I've never played D&D ever.
Right.
But if I wanted to get into it, I wouldn't want to be the one to say, but actually, or but this. I would just go with whatever the DM says. If the DM says you can have a concentration and a secondary, but you can't do two concentrations or stuff like that, I would go for that. So how much of that would be the players not actually paying attention to their DM and what the DM says, you know?
See, and like that is where you have to ask the question, hey, can I do this, versus trying to say you're going to do it.
It's so when you go to do stuff, usually on the tabletop, is you go, I want to do this. Is usually the words I have my players use is, they can ask me, can I do this, or I want to do this. Because a lot of what I have in my games is very open. Like, we took a lot of stuff from Baldur's Gate as we mixed it in. I took a few things from, like, Dimension 20, which I enjoy as a Dungeon Master, because Brandon Lee Mulligan does a fantastic job, and it's not overblown. Of, like, the way he does stuff. And they're like, oh, well, I want to try and pommel strike this guy. I'm like, well, it's not really something in the rules as it is current for the 2024 manual. The 2025 one is we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But like,
that is the unspoken child.
But like with that one, I'd be like, yeah, you can do it, and it would just be essentially an unarmed strike, which is just D4 plus your strength. And that gives them that third attack, and they'd be like, well, I want to try and topple this guy that's in front of me because they're using a polearm. I go, okay, cool. That is an attack roll, and then it's an athletics roll against the other person. And so it comes down to having a veteran person behind the screen, as well as having players who are open on saying, I want to do X.
Yeah.
And then being open to let them explore it. Now, if you want something that is very straight and narrow, on the dot, not going to go anywhere, like easy for new players to do is do one-shot encounters that focus more on roleplay and using their roles and skills correctly before pushing them into combat. A lot of good ones like that are, you go into a town, dudes peddling potions, they're kind of fucked up, shit goes bad, like, you know, it's things kind of just get a little fucky-wucky. And then the combat happens towards the end, because it's them facing down the quote-unquote villain of this one-shot, which is like a 2-3 hour adventure. So you're kind of leading them into, yeah, use your rolls. Hey, you want to play the axe-throwing game and try to win that really cool stuffed unicorn? Like, oh, hell yeah. Roll me athletics. Roll to hit the target. This is what you use to add to this. This is what you use to add to that. And it's very streamlined, small, narrow alleyways kind of situation where the story's going to go, very linear, and it's very good for getting people into that know-how, as well as teaching. But then when you put them in an open world setting, it's, well, I want to do this. Okay, have you asked if you can? Have you put forth the idea you can? But there's also a lot of people who watch like TikToks and YouTube videos of how to min-max their characters. And it's like, I have the Pandora's box rule.
Yep.
Which there's a lot of people who are like, well, I can use create water, and it says I can just create in any vessel. Your lungs are a vessel, and my response is always, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I love whenever they try to like be like, we can be bloodbenders. It goes both ways, buddy.
And that's the Pandora's box rule, is that if you want to stretch into the inhumane uses of magic, or into the inhumane uses of weaponry, or etc., it goes both ways. And it can go both ways.
That's like the catapult spell, where it's like it allows you to launch an object, whether it's human or not human, like organic or non-organic. It's like, I wanna use the catapult spell on your heart and just fucking eject it through your chest. Are you sure? Because what's to stop me from doing it next?
Yes. It's especially when they're fighting a wizard that is level 10 or 12, which means they've been doing this for a hot fucking minute. And you think that they haven't thought about that? You know, it's that whole where's the line?
Yeah.
But as for the newest rules, I think it is the surge in popularity from Baldur's Gate specifically influenced a lot of the new rules. I feel that a lot of...
I really don't like that, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like that there are some rules in the new set that are very useful, that are very interesting. Weapon skills, in the sense of, for like certain bludgeoning weapons, even if you miss, you still do 1 damage because you're not breaking their armor, you're hitting them still. And so it's like, yeah, you still do a bludgeoning damage, you do 2 bludgeoning damage, whatever. It's still damage, it makes sense. Being able to topple someone with a polearm, cool. It gives you the ability to knock someone prone and give your teammates advantage. Being able to use your finesse weapons to do bleed. Interesting. Cool. You can do that. That's neat. Doing thrust attacks or such to do piercing strikes to try and give yourself an extra hit during combat. All very cool, but here's the thing the one thing I've always bring people to it. Players already have a lot to track, and so do DMs. The reason it works in Baldur's Gate is that it's a fucking program. It has everything programmed in. It is a game. It is one that is already built. It runs itself. It just does its own fucking thing. And so, if you give all these actions to those players and NPCs, that's already built in. So you're just clicking buttons. And the enemy already has those buttons to click, and they can do it back to you. Whereas, if I'm doing a tabletop, and it's like, oh hey, now I have to worry about these players having a third action, in the sense of their weapons proficiencies, and that's going to change the way the game is. And now I have to worry about my NPCs I'm putting in also having it. And so now it's like I have another thing to track, and it's fine. I enjoy it, but there's so much already going on that it becomes... It makes combat last longer. If you haven't seen my last session, there was 2.5 hours of them just fighting and solving fucking doors. And it was 8 enemies.
Dude, that's like, I'm assuming you're familiar with the monk, the monk
yes.
class. When you get into higher levels with monks, the amount of fucking, like, shit you can do with his attacks, it's like, holy fuck, how?
Yeah, and I mean, and I think a good point brought up is for hot takes of best, worst classes, and what rulebook made them good or bad. Monk got fucking nerfed in 5e.
He did.
I have a personal vendetta with 5e, because it's really, really good for introductory work. But there is nothing past it for players who know the system. Where I can sit here and build a fighter that's a level 5 fighter that can fuck up your shit and be an absolute menace to anything on the field, because I know how the rules work. I know how everything is based, and it's not going to be anything flexing. They essentially undercomplicated the system to an extent, but left a lot of room for interpretation, because it's in any game you have power scaling. Power scaling in 5e is very straightforward. The thing is that you can now min-max your characters, basically make your shit really powerful, and just, like if you ever played Fallout, make your intelligence 1, make your strength 10. You can now lift a fucking semi-truck, but it's like talking to a brick. You know, it's that kind of situation, and so it takes away from the balance and niche of where you're setting characters up, and to just kind of building glass cannons. Which is fine, you can make meme characters, but when it breaks the whole fucking system, it's kind of dog shit.
Yeah.
3.5 was a lot more visceral, a little bit more complicated, but you could just build things that had to be balanced, otherwise they wouldn't work. And now 5e has to survive on the back of homebrew to fill those niches, because like past level 12 in 5e, you become so fucking overpowered, it's ridiculous, and that's what I'm dealing with currently. Like I told my players flat out, you're hitting level 15 and that's your top end. Like you're not going to level 20. There's no way in fucking hell I'm dealing with that.
Dude, there's somebody who they were talking about like their DM experience and how they were in a four-year campaign and their players at level 20 and they were finally fighting the big bad enemy, and how the combat took, and I shit you not, he said the combat took 2 sessions because just everybody had so many actions and were just over planning everything. But then like whenever they brought in like the to the health stuff, like just everyone like just had so much health and there's just so many things to be done, and it's like it was so complicated and boring because it was just well, I'm out of spells now, I guess I'll just fucking run up and stab.
Yep. It can go really hard, really fucking fast, and it's insane. I showed my players a CR21 creature, which CR is a fucking bugged mechanic for reading up on creature power levels. If you haven't done DM shit, that's a whole bag of worms you're gonna go into. Have fun with it.
Yeah, good fucking luck.
Don't use it verbatim. Don't use it verbatim. Look at what they can fucking do per turn and use that to balance what you're doing. Don't look at CR rating.
I love that because when I did a one-shot, and it was with a very, very niche enemy. I forget what it was, but it was basically bug warriors that have a hive mind.
Yeah.
And they have a language.
Atronox, yeah.
No, they're not Atronox. They're start with a K.
Yeah. I know the ones you're talking about, but yeah, they're bug warriors of the hive mind. They got a lot of bullshit going on. They
have pack attack and AC of 18, and they fucking hurt.
Yeah.
A lot.
And they're not fun to fight by any stretch of the imagination, and so you have to take that shit into account.
Well,
it's ugh.
Also, the one shot I planned, a few of the people were min-maxing, and they were doing their bullshit Archer Rogue that they did every single time, so I'm like, okay, fine, fuck you. If you want to be this type of person, I'm just going to be this type of DM.
Dude,
have some variety in your fucking life.
Yeah, going into that, what would y'all say? I want to hear y'all's, a little more in depth of y'all's opinions on the classes and what makes a certain class good and what makes a certain class bad. Because I know everyone has their favorite.
It's really enjoyment, honestly.
Yeah, because you can look at it as how powerful you can be.
Now, if you say strongest versus weakest, that's a completely different subject.
So, like, in my opinion, I love playing melee characters. I love playing my fighter and my barbarian, and I do enjoy playing a paladin. I hate spellcasting. I have noodled around with spellcasting. Hate it. But it's not because spellcasters are weak or anything. It's just I don't prefer that type of combat.
I like being quite big-brained. I like thinking outside the box, so I'm usually a utility caster support. That's my go-to. Specifically Druid. I love playing Druid so much. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's my favorite class to play is Artificer. Because I get to do a lot of utility casting. I get to do some support stuff. I get to make items. I also get gun, so that a lot of anti-magic shit doesn't work on me, but I can still be efficient in combat. I played one character that was an artificer and a combat medic, so he had a robot that followed him around. So I essentially had a summon that was just a fucking shield. Like, his whole job was to help me move shit, or to help block shit off so I could take care of the other people. And so like it's based off enjoyment. I have a player who plays Ranger. He thinks the greatest thing since sliced bread. He plays it really well. He RPs it really well, which is the other side of things. And like that's just what it comes down to. I love playing Wizards too. Fucking sign me up for Wizard shit, and I'll fucking take care of it. But to really crack down on it is the fun of D&D outweighs the bullshit that you go through as a DM or a player. When it goes well, and you hear your player say, hey, that was a great session, I really love this, it's why I do what we call our breaky downies at the end of every session, so I can kind of hear from my players what was their favorite part, what was their not favorite part, what was the part they thought that could be fixed, and the less fixing parts I heard and the more fun they were having as I was balancing out like balancing out the combat and what the RP stuff was doing made it a lot more fun. And that's where a lot of the improv comes in, which is how you remove some of the bullshit from your own stuff. But a lot of D&D is just, I want to do this weird fucking thing, does it work? And that's the fun of it. That's the bullshit of it.
So I have a DM question and honestly, you can answer this too. So there's two ways that you can handle like whenever somebody dies. You can either describe what happens, or you can ask your players what they want to describe what happens. Which do you prefer doing?
For me, since I let them describe how they usually kill the final enemy in a combat, I will describe how they die if they die.
Yeah, it's about the same way for me. I usually let my players say like what you're gonna do for it, and if they want me to give extra exposition or if I want to set the scene for what's going on, I may be like, hey, how do you like? The last session I had, our paladin was like, yeah, I shoved my sword into the head of the squid we're fighting. And he was like, I'm doing branding smite, doing searing smite, whatever. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I was like, you do that. You all see the paladin step up to the squid, slam his sword into it, raise his other hand to the heavens as he's struck by lightning that goes directly into the squid and fries it completely. And that's what I'll kind of do is like fill in those details so it sets the scene. It gives them a little bit of exposition, makes it fun. When my players have gone down, if they're dead, that is when I will say, hey, this is what's happening. And it's usually something grim and grisly. Because it's them going out, period. Otherwise, if they're being injured, it's like you get hit by a goblin archer in the ass. You're knocked down, deal with it. Like, figure it out. What are you going to do from here?
The goblin pissed in the air and shots in the ass. Good luck.
Yeah, just the fucking, you're dead safe.
Like
figure it out.
You look like Shrek when he got shot in the ass.
Yeah. I always make sure to kind of tag on my players as well, that when they're describing how they take out the creature, this is not their spotlight moment. This is just, what do you do? What's a cool thing you want to show off? And that's it. Don't drag it out. Don't make it a fucking 5-minute spiel. Just tell me what's the cool thing you did, so you didn't just say, I cast Fireball at it and it dies. Like, what do you do that's interesting? Like, I cast Fireball at it and I see that it gets blown to smithereens and is, it just gets, incinerated or whatever, right? Like...
So, Thank
you, Joker.
My one new player, she's never played before, literally never has, touched a dice set or anything. And so she's still very new to it, and she's playing a druid. And she has, I can't remember the exact name of it. It's basically, the ice shard spell.
Yeah.
So...
Black ice?
No... It's just an ice shard.
It's okay. Just keep it
It's okay.
But
yeah.
I said, okay, how do you want to do this? And she goes, oh, I'm just casting ice shard, I guess. So I'm like, all right, what level are you casting it at? And she goes, I'm going to cast it at the 4th level. Like, alright, I got you. So I went and described that she summons this, and I purposely said it this way. I said, you summon this very large shard of ice, and as you're summoning it, it's spreading into... the tips of it are breaking apart, becoming bigger and bigger, and when you launch it, I described it just flying through the air, sailing into the dude, and because I had players behind him attacking him from the back, I said, all you other guys, all you see is just large shards of ice piercing completely through him, tearing out pieces of his guts, poking through his face, all this shit. Going into full detail, making that like really simple, easy kill into something gruesome and fun for the players to watch and see.
Yeah, you set the stage, you set the scene.
Yep. And
Would
like,
you say...
I think that's just a fun thing to do. No, you're good, Odell. You're good.
Would you say the difference between like your players describing how they're killing someone and then you describing, like you said, their death saves, is it gives that control? Is like, take it, if you're dying in real life, you don't have control over what kills you most of the time. You just kind of going through the motions. But to turn around, you do have control when you do take something out. So that gives them the ability to either be goofy or be super serious, and that's part of the reason you...
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. It's about control and time. A lot of the times when I have to tell players to shorten what they're doing, their exposition-wise, it's because it's time. It's pushing forward. It's trying to get shit done. Otherwise, it's their version of control. That's the whole point of playing the D&D, is that you're playing a character doing something. And most of the times that my players have actually wanted to do an exposition like that has been because their character has a reason to do it. Like, that's the big one. One of the paladins facing off against a character called the Blight Piper. They had been nemesis for a very long time in the campaign, and he finally got to have a one-on-one against him. He did compel duel, all the spells went off, dude failed it, and he went, okay, fine, you want to duel me? Let's do that. And he put them on a literal stage off the coast, and they had a duel to the death. And the paladin, when he finally got the killing blow, went through the motions of what he did because of the fact that it was part of his story. It was part of who he was, and like why this was important to him. And so that was that part of that control. Otherwise, it's just like, I kill the bear. How do you kill the bear? I stab the bear. Wonderful. And we go about our day.
Yeah. I will say, as like from my DM perspective, I love, but whenever I say love, I mean like I hate it. I love whenever they like, it's such like a minute encounter, like, oh, you're going to slay a bunch of goblins, just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you see my sword begin to glow of holy flame, and they start trying to give you this like giant monologue exposition about it as if they just defeated like the world's greatest enemy, or the man who's been following them since they were a child. But it's like, this was just a goblin that was just chilling. You literally walked up on it while I was eating dinner. I literally said it had a bowl in its hand eating.
Yeah, I've had a player do that, and I've had the DM NPC, which is Dungeon Master NPC, for those who don't know the acronym. It's usually a character I have in the game to help guide them, usually for the first few levels, or they have a specific story reason. And they literally came up while they were doing this big exposition to like tap him on the shoulder and went, hey, big guy, can you just do the thing?
Can you just fucking stab it? We got lunch. We gotta go see the queen.
We got time. we gotta go, man. We gotta leave.
You realize that those anime characters that are like the annoying side characters that describe every fucking move are actually in real life.
Yep, they're in real life now.
They're in real life. This
is my special attack. My secret left hook undercut jab. So you're just punching them in the face. Yes.
Yeah. There was another player I had that would describe all of their actions in exquisite detail, and they took so long at one point, I was like, they shoot you in the leg. He's like, well, I was trying my attack. I was like, you sat there monologuing in front of a goblin. They're just going to stab you. Like, you took your eyes off of them, and now their knife is in your shin. I don't know what to tell you. Like... Okay, Grim, you being an experienced player, going through a couple rule set changes,
So I had my players try to argue with me about drinking a potion should not be like an action or a bonus action. It should just be like a thing that you can just do. And I was like, have you ever tried to chug? And I said, we're gonna take a 16-ounce water bottle. They're like, okay. I'm like, have you ever tried to chug one of those? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, how fast do you think you can chug this? Well, I don't know. All right, go ahead and try to chug it. And it took them
Chug it right now.
It took them like 5 seconds. I'm like, all right, you do realize each turn is 6 seconds long. You chugging that was literally 99% of your turn.
Yep.
I mean, not only that, you're winded after you chug a liquid.
Yeah.
And it depends on the potions. There are some that it's not really put to a number how big some of the potions are volume-wise. And so they could be like Witcher size, where they're little vials, right? You know, it's just full of magic, little flip poop done. And that's kind of how I've run stuff to be like, yeah, it's a bonus action. Because if you have it on your person, you can't just pull it off, pop the cork, punk it, and then go about your fucking day. But there are some things that I'm like, no!
Usually I see a lot of, if it's used on you, it's a bonus action.
If it's used on someone else, it's a full action, yeah.
Yep.
Because that's technically the help action. So that's why it goes that way.
Yep.
I think with things like that, y'all learn it because y'all didn't know that when you first started, but each one of you has 10, 20 years of doing this.
Really, it just becomes from experience and figuring out what you do like and don't like.
But that's
from your time.
Yeah, that's the same as video games, though, right?
Yep.
Is the reason you like video games is you spent, again, how many of you played Siege for 20, or I guess the 10 years, how many of you played the other two Baldur's Gates type of stuff, the Fallout series, is like, how much of it is you playing for fun versus you playing because you now have that understanding of the background of the game and stuff.
I mean, shit, my comfort game is Left 4 Dead 2. I absolutely roll in that game.
And that's because you understand the mechanics, and you spent the time to learn the mechanics of each
not just the mechanics, advanced mechanics.
Yeah, but when you go to the special infected, you learn how to hide yourself properly as a smoker, how to pounce properly as the hunter and charger and all that shit. So it's the same thing as D&D. You have to take the time to learn it and understand it to see what is feasible, what isn't feasible.
I mean, it's my comfort game is Darktide. And I've been with them since the beta testers. And so watching the mechanics change and being able to adapt to it and then teach other players how to do it and be like, yeah, this is why I play it. It's because, one, it's comfy. Two, it's if you just learn the mechanics and how you move and how everything goes, it becomes easier because you learn how it is. And that's with D&D too, which is part of the job as the DM's profession, is to say, hey, I've seen how the rules was written by a group of people who have played the game and have their own opinions. I feel their opinions are incorrect because when I'm playing it with people, that enjoyment goes out the window because it limits what they can do. And there's a reason why there's limits, but there's also a reason to break the limits.
Yep.
You know, there's a reason why to say your actions is 6 seconds. You have 6 seconds to do something. What do you want to do? You know, what is going to happen?
I remember one mechanic I really didn't like and how people ruled it. So I changed it specifically for my games because I didn't like how it was being used.
Right.
And it was a mechanic, it was a rogue or range mechanic. I forget which one it was, but the same person that was doing rogue ranger was abusing it. And I'm like, okay, well, this isn't happening in my game.
Right.
I'm sick of this. And then I had every person in the fucking group argue with me. I'm like, okay, well, listen, this is my game. I am the DM. I am God, officially, right here.
Right.
So when I sit in this chair,
for you to debate.
When I sit in this chair, you are nothing more than peon standing before a God who's guiding your actions. Shut up and deal with it.
Question for y'all, since each one of you is either starting to become a DM or has been a DM for a while. Is that the reason you chose to be the DM, is you found something that just irked you enough to say, I want to change that? Or why
my reason was
DMing over?
My reason was to tell stories. and that back when I started, when you were a DM, you had been dealing with this stuff for a while. If you wanted to run a second edition campaign as the Dungeon Master, you had to know everything, ins and outs. You had your DM screen and everything, but it was such a complicated system back then that you had to know it inside and out to run the game correctly. 3.5 was the same way. You had to learn how to balance your game. You had all your books. You didn't have anything fucking digital. It was all paper and notes and maps, and it was just very much a... If you were a DM, you were an asset. You were the person people went to run games because no one else had the time or the skill or want to learn everything. Because being a player in those games was just as complicated.
Yep.
And so I've been kind of stuck as the forever DM. I get to play once in a while, and it's fine. Because I know all the systems, all the homebrew rules. I can make my own shit. I can make my own monsters. I can pull from what I see in media and make monsters. I can take ideas from other movies and say, hey, that's a cool monster. I'm going to put stats on it. It's going to be in the game now. Done.
I'm kind of the same way. I got put into the Forever DM situation because I DM'd once. People really liked it. Started DMing more. And since then, I've been helping new players get into it and guide them and just constantly keep getting people coming back and going like, hey, so when are we doing the next campaign? We finished that a year ago.
Yeah, it's like my campaigns are full of new players that are no longer new players. What about you, Dom?
So, I learned very different. I learned through just character building. I made a bunch of different characters to learn how they worked and like all that. That is what I enjoy doing because that's my form of learning through enjoyment, of course. But so back in high school, I wasn't a really good DM. I didn't know anything basically. And then I ended up having my friend who's a DM some stuff. I didn't like some of his rulings, whatever. I just want to play to have fun AM. I recently got back into the idea of DMing because I have some story ideas I would like to run out through D&D. I think it'd be pretty cool. The current idea I have for the Big Bad is similar to Hotel Transylvania / Dracula in a sense.
Right.
Where his wife died and he's mad at humans. Well, I'm going to take some inspiration from that and convert it into the first Big Bad Evil. I think that's a really cool idea, and I want to run it out. I think my players would like it for who I'm DMing for.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to as a DM. It either looks like you want to write a story, or you find somebody you're like, man, I fucking hate this. I don't want to run games with that anymore. Or it's you just kind of get stuck into the role and you run with it, and you find you're pretty fucking good at it. Like, all of my campaigns have been, I've written them myself. I don't like to pull from modules unless I have to. But yeah, I think that's really what the whole shtick is. And I think that's a good wrap-up point for this episode, is talking about the reasons why we got into it. I mean, that's the reason I stream it too, is to share stories. Because people enjoy them, I enjoy telling them, and that's why I have the name that I do, is that because I'm a storyteller.
Well, I mean, the reason I got into D&D is because I'm a nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard about it. And then I asked my dad, and he's like, oh my god, I remember playing 2nd edition. And then we both got back into it together.
Nice. Pog.
Oh,
that's what I want to do with my kids when they're older, is run them through D&D stuff too, because it's a good creative sense too. It helps with your thinking, your creative outlets, creative problem solving. It does a lot for it. It also helps you learn how to read complex subjects, but also read critically, so you can look for what exactly you need, how to find it, when to use it, all that kind of happy stuff. But yeah, I think, AJ, we're at the wrap-up point. So, does anyone have anything else that we want to throw on the table before we close out?
I guess real quick, once again, we're going to touch on it just real fast. It is June. It is Men's Mental Health. That being said, whether you're a dude or not, if you are experiencing any mental health issues, reach out, talk to somebody. People are a lot more willing to help than what you think. As for the men that are watching these streams and catching the podcast, we will be opening up the Discord we have where people can come in and talk and lay down what's going on in their life and get some guidance or just meet some other people to just chill and hang out. But yeah, just don't be afraid to ask for help. And just remember, life is tough, but you're a badass motherfucker. Grab that bitch by the hair, fucking kick her down.
And the want to speak doesn't make you weak. That's a big premise on the whole thing. It's making sure that we take care of each other, as well as make sure that we tell the stories of those who have passed so that we don't repeat them in the future. That's the whole shtick, is to get everyone together in one spot and say, hey, shit sucks, we all live through it, but at the end of the day, we get to sit here with you and listen. And a lot of times it's what you need. I know that's what I've needed in my years past, in my own struggles. And I know with Dom and AJ and Odell, having our own stories, we've all had that one person who listened and that made a difference. And so now we want to be advocates for those who are in our same place, because that's what you do, is you pass it forward. And so I think that's a good wrap up.
I agree.
So thank you all for being here for episode 5 of Beers, Beards, and Bullshit. I'm Beards.
I'm Beers.
And I'm Bullshit.
And we'll see you all next time.